Where are you right now?
I asked my daughter. She nonchalantly replied.
Anywhere is fine.
Frustrated, I insisted.
Come home immediately.
But my daughter retorted.
No way. We're on an overseas vacation. We won't be back for another 3 days.
When I called her, she didn't seem remorseful at all. Instead, she answered with high energy and laughter. As I passed by my daughter and son-in-law's house, I heard a faint cry for help from inside. The voice was incredibly small. It was the voice of my beloved grandchild. When I used my spare key to enter the house, I discovered my 5-year-old grandchild tightly bound in a rope, hidden deep inside the closet. My daughter and son-in-law had exposed my precious grandchild to danger, and the consequences were severe. Fueled by anger, I resolved that my daughter and son-in-law must be held accountable, no matter what. My name is Mary, and I am a grandmother now. Lately, the chilly weather has kept me indoors, making me feel quite lonely. You see, my husband passed away several years ago, leaving me to live alone. His death was truly heartbreaking, and the loneliness persisted for a long time. However, there is something that brings me joy now, my kindergarten-aged grandchild, Mia. Over the past few years, I haven't seen my daughter Samantha and her husband Michael very often. The frequency of our visits decreased significantly after Mia was born. But despite being a somewhat absent grandmother, Mia has grown very fond of me. Occasionally, she'll say,
I love you, Grandma.
Each time she does, my heart swells with affection. As a result, I find myself buying her various things and even sending her allowances. People around me recognize this as grandma spoiling, but I have no regrets. Mia is my one and only grandchild, a precious presence that cannot be replaced. Right now, my love for Mia fills my heart completely. However, I also have concerns. It revolves around my daughter and son-in-law's parenting approach. Frankly, Samantha tends to prioritize her own needs over those of her child. And Michael, her husband, doesn't seem particularly attached to Mia. When I raised Samantha, I believed I showered her with affection, just as my late husband did. That's why deep down, I want to voice my complaints about Samantha's current family situation. On the other hand, I hesitate to interfere in their parenting decisions. Honestly, anything I say would likely be unwelcome, and they probably wouldn't listen. Moreover, if Samantha's stress being scolded by me was to inadvertently affect Mia, it would be disastrous. So, despite my conflicting feelings, I've decided not to meddle too much in their parenting choices. Although it's lonely not seeing Mia often, I know that if necessary, I can still visit her. Currently, they reside in the house where my late husband and I used to live. After his passing, managing the spacious home alone became overwhelming, so I handed it over to them. That's why I also have a spare key. Sometimes, I find myself thinking that I'd like to visit their home and see Mia, even if it's just spontaneously. One day, I had the chance to pass by my daughter and son-in-law's house after a long time. Since their home is quite a distance from where I currently live, I rarely visit on my own. However, there was a reason I decided to go there today. I had been invited by a friend who lives in the neighborhood. This friend happened to be a classmate from middle school, so I assumed we would reminisce about old memories. Little did I know that the conversation would take a much more serious turn.
Mary, do you really know about Mia?
Of course, she's my granddaughter. How could I not know? I answered matter-of-factly, unaware of my own ignorance.
No, that's not what I meant. Could it be that Mia is experiencing abuse?
Huh? My foolish voice blurted out instinctively. What do you mean? I decided to listen to my friend's detailed account. However, As I heard the story unfold, I felt increasingly uneasy. After hearing everything, I collapsed onto my knees. To think that Mia has been going through something like that without my knowledge. Seeing my exhausted expression, my friend tried desperately to console me.
Well, we don't know for sure. It's just a rumor, but I thought I should mention it. Maybe you could stop by their house on your way back?
According to my friend, Samantha and Michael have been frequently going out early in the morning and returning well past midnight. Of course, they don't take Mia with them. As a result, there's a neighborhood rumor that they leave their child behind and go out to play as a couple. Additionally, some people have noticed Mia spending long hours on the balcony. Concerned neighbors who tried to talk to Mia were usually met with Samantha's baffling response.
She's fine. My daughter just loves the balcony.
Hearing this, I couldn't help but think that my daughter and son-in-law might be capable of such behavior. While I believe I have raised Samantha properly, I can't fathom where things went wrong. My friend advised me to check on Mia's well-being, so I left the house promptly and headed toward my daughter and son-in-law's home. With my hands trembling slightly, I pressed the doorbell, but there was no sign of anyone coming out, only the sound of the chime echoing. Are they not home? I muttered, about to leave the premises. However, at that moment, I thought I heard something.
Help!
The word was faint, and my hearing had deteriorated lately, making it challenging to catch soft sounds. Unable to discern it clearly, I addressed the noise. Is someone there? No response. Maybe I had misheard, I thought as I turned away from the house. But finally, I distinctly heard the plea.
Help!
My spine chilled. The source of that desperate cry could only be Mia. As a doting grandmother, I couldn't possibly have misheard. Given the circumstances, my daughter and son-in-law were likely out somewhere. But even if they left their child alone, why would she be calling for help? My mind raced to the worst possibilities, and I swiftly used the spare key to enter the house.
Mia! Mia! Where are you?
My voice reached her, and from not too far away, I heard Mia's reply.
Grandma?
Yes, it's Grandma. I'm here.
Mia informed me that she was inside the closet. My worst fears had come true. Mia was left bound in a tight coil of rope inside the closet.
Mia! How could this happen?
Desperate, I clawed at the rope, trying to free her as quickly as possible. But the knots resisted my efforts. The constriction was severe, leaving faint marks on Mia's skin. I grabbed nearby scissors and managed to release her from the restraints.
Grandma, are Mom and Dad not here?
Mia's voice trembled, resembling a fledgling bird frightened by an external threat. They're not here. It's okay. You're safe now. As I spoke, Mia flung herself into my arms, tears streaming down her face. My wet, disheveled clothes didn't matter. My daughter and son-in-law had gone too far. They had crossed a line that should never be crossed. Suppressing my trembling anger, I held Mia gently. Looking at her frail body once more, I noticed she had grown even thinner, weakened. She likely hadn't eaten properly for days. The marks from the rope on Mia's body were vivid, resembling bruises. These might take a while to fade. My anger surged uncontrollably, and I dialed Samantha's number. After a brief pause, a sluggish voice came through the phone.
Hello?
Her tone hinted at intoxication. It was inconceivable that she would be drinking while her own daughter was in such a weakened state. Suppressing my volcanic rage, I spoke in an icy tone.
Where are you right now?
Anywhere is fine.
She didn't seem remorseful. Instead, her high spirits grated on my nerves.
Samantha, answer truthfully. Where are you?
Perhaps sensing my seriousness, she finally revealed their whereabouts.
We're on a family vacation abroad. Why?
A family vacation. Yet they left Mia locked in a closet. How could this be a family trip? I pretended to be fooled by my daughter's talk of including Mia. My daughter's mood was somewhat lowered, but her annoyance at my biting remarks showed through the nuances of her words.
Regardless, come home immediately.
Why? It's a special family vacation. We won't be back for another 3 days.
Of course, I didn't expect them to return right away, but hearing it directly from my daughter only fueled my anger. Just as I was about to say something else, Samantha abruptly hung up, muttering,
Busy.
Samantha's attitude pushed me over the edge. To neglect one's own child and prioritize personal enjoyment, such behavior filled me with intense contempt and disgust. And to think that this despicable conduct came from my own daughter. I regretted my parenting decisions, and I felt a deep sense of apology toward my late husband. Amidst these complex emotions, I finally regained my composure when I saw Mia gripping my sleeve, her worried expression tugging at my heart. Mia was utterly weakened, so I rushed her to the hospital. According to the doctor, she was on the brink of severe malnutrition, but her life wasn't in immediate danger. For now, I felt relief that Mia was safe. Next, my anger toward my daughter and son-in-law exploded. They had endangered my one precious grandchild, and the consequences were severe. I resolved that my daughter and son-in-law must be held accountable, no matter what. It's truly heartbreaking to discover the extent of my daughter's actions. She's never done anything this extreme before. While the neighborhood gossip hints at mild mistreatment, I know my daughter isn't foolish enough to risk so much. If Mia were to reveal that she was genuinely abused, Samantha and Michael's lives would be ruined. Yet, I can't help but wonder about the reason behind such drastic measures. If there's a solid motive, perhaps I can arrest my daughter and son-in-law for child abuse. So, despite the painful memories it stirs, I decided to ask Mia for a detailed account of the situation. Mia hesitantly shared.
Mom, one day, I saw Mom bringing home a man I didn't recognize.
The implication is clear. Samantha was likely involved in an affair. My anguish deepened. Mia continued.
I thought he might be Dad's friend, so I innocently asked. But Mom got furious.
Piecing together Mia's account, it seems highly probable that Samantha was indeed having an affair. Facing exposure, she resorted to extreme measures like this. With all the puzzle pieces fitting, I took action. I contacted lawyers and authorities to prepare for justice against the couple who hurt my dear Mia. When I assured Mia that I'd protect her, she tearfully said,
I want to live with Grandma.
Moved by her words, I made a solemn vow, I'll be there for her, no matter what lies ahead. 3 days had passed, and my daughter and her husband returned from their trip. Still basking in the afterglow of their otherworldly experiences.
Let's go on another trip together.
Of course.
As they inserted the key into the lock, an unsettling feeling washed over them. No matter how much they turned the key, the door remained stubbornly shut. Samantha puzzled over it, muttering,
Wait, am I doing something wrong?
Michael, equally perplexed, asked.
What's going on?
Samantha's frustration grew as the key refused to cooperate. She glanced downward and saw a sign that read, For Sale. Michael followed her gaze and was equally shocked.
What on earth is happening?
he exclaimed. Both of them stood there, utterly bewildered. Then it hit Samantha, the person responsible for this bizarre situation.
That old hag.
She exclaimed. Grabbing her phone, Samantha dialed the number registered as annoying old lady. Hello? Have you returned? My voice, slightly high-pitched, echoed through the phone. Samantha erupted in anger, venting her frustration.
What the hell? Why is our house listed for sale? Did you do this? It's unbelievable.
I chuckled. But the laughter didn't come from the phone, it emanated from behind her. When Samantha turned, she saw me, wearing a triumphant smile. Samantha, I'm disappointed in you. I've always had doubts about your parenting style, but I never imagined it would come to this. I calmly reproached her.
Huh? What are you talking about?
You claimed you were on a family vacation abroad, right? Isn't Mia supposed to be with you?
In a situation where only her husband was present beside her, Samantha panicked and stammered.
Well, Mia went to a friend's house to deliver souvenirs.
She blurted out. Really? I responded, beckoning Mia, who had been hiding behind me. She clung to my legs, and Samantha's face turned pale.
Mia. Why are you here?
Samantha! You bound Mia with ropes and locked her in the closet. You're truly despicable. Why would you do such a thing?
Samantha, realizing she was caught, tried to justify herself.
What do you know? Parenting is tough. Sometimes you have to discipline kids like that to teach them.
Indeed, parenting is challenging. If only my foolish daughter had followed your example, maybe she'd be a slightly better person.
I laced my words with sarcasm. Samantha fell silent. Michael, usually quiet, voiced his frustration.
Why sell the house? What's going on?
When you took over the house, you never changed the ownership. So legally, this house is still mine. As the owner, I can sell it if I want. Samantha trembled.
So, where are we supposed to live now?
Disheartened, the couple failed to express concern for their child.
Don't you worry about your own child?
My stern tone made them uneasy.
Well, Mia is under your protection, right? No problem.
I sighed. Their indifference infuriated me. Samantha's words left me speechless. But there was something I needed to convey, so reluctantly, I continued. While you were gallivanting, I explained everything to Child Protective Services, lawyers, and the authorities. Mia's custody has been transferred to me. Their expressions didn't darken. Instead, they seemed oddly pleased.
Really? So, we don't have to deal with parenting anymore? Fantastic. Occasionally, you do something good too, huh?
Michael remained silent, but he nodded in agreement. But this is where it gets serious. I knew that sharing this news would put them in a good mood. So, with the intention of finally retaliating, I spoke up.
Well, it's not that easy for custody to change, right? You're not foolish, so you can imagine that much.
Despite my words, the couple seemed oblivious to the gravity of the situation. I continued. I merely consulted with Child Protective Services, but they deemed this incident quite serious and contacted the police. I explained. Their faces turned pale rapidly. I smiled sweetly and added, "You two should reflect on your actions in prison." Samantha protested.
Wait, what's going on? This is bad. We need to escape.
Michael, usually quiet, snapped.
Calm down. It's not like they're coming for us right away.
Both of them seemed irritated, so I decided to add fuel to the fire. By the way, Michael. The reason Samantha locked Mia this time is because her affair was about to be exposed. Michael's face momentarily showed confusion at my words, but then he blushed furiously and lunged at Samantha.
What do you mean? You were having an affair?
Calm down. This old hag is just making things up.
Despite Samantha's attempts to soothe him, Michael remained visibly agitated. I continued speaking. And guess who Samantha's affair partner was? James, her high school classmate. You know, the guy who lives nearby? Samantha's expression tightened.
How do you know all this? Ugh.
She had inadvertently admitted to the affair herself, and Michael was now berating her with fury. He was so angry that he could barely articulate coherent sentences. Seeing his rage, I found it somewhat amusing. But I wasn't done yet. By the way, James is married. His wife was furious when she found out. She even threatened to sue for damages. Samantha fell silent. Understandably so, she needed to find a new home, come up with excuses for the police, and brace herself for a hefty alimony payment. The police matter was almost a foregone conclusion. She was likely to be arrested. Right now, she is experiencing the lowest point in her life. But it wasn't enough to make amends for what she did to Mia. So, I decided to deliver one final, significant punishment. I actually hired a lawyer to investigate various matters. It turns out that Samantha had been using the money I sent for Mia's support. There should have been hundreds of thousands of dollars saved up, but you two seem to have spent it recklessly. Even the recent trip expenses were covered, it seems, I said, looking at Samantha, who appeared defeated. Michael, who had lost his composure until now, reacted slightly to my words. I've been inconvenienced too, so I'll be making a claim, I added with a touch of irony. Upon hearing my final statement, Samantha finally snapped and began berating me.
How could you do something so terrible to your own daughter? Unbelievable. You're an utterly hopeless parent.
I retorted.
I could say the same about you.
Samantha's anger flared, but she had brought this upon herself. I never imagined my own daughter would stoop to such levels. In the end, the couple was found guilty of child abuse and sentenced to prison. It was ironic that they had previously talked about separating due to Samantha's affair, yet now they were both headed to jail. The alimony claims resulting from the affair, along with the repayment for misusing my financial support, left the couple drowning in debt. Michael lost his job due to the guilty verdict, and with no substantial income, they faced the daunting task of repaying this significant sum. It was a complex mix of emotions, but they had brought it upon themselves. I hope they reflect and learn from their mistakes. On the other hand, I am enjoying my new life with Mia. Initially, she struggled to adapt to living alone with her grandmother, and the lingering anxiety from her past abuse weighed heavily on her. However, as our neighbors and I treated her kindly, a glimmer of brightness returned to her expression. Mia often says,
Thank you, Grandma, for helping me.
It's only natural to assist her given the circumstances, and I also feel sorry for not being able to help until it got to that point. Her sincere smile when she expresses gratitude warms my heart. My remaining days will be filled with time spent with Mia. Though they may not be long, I approach each day with hope and joy.
How did you find this story? Please subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed it. Until next time.